Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome on in to Asian Baseball today. It's the Monday edition where the guys get you ready to cash tickets all week long. It's $9 Monday, so you can head on over to our experts pages right now. Get all best bets loaded right this second for just $9. The best deal in the biz until we put the hottest one for just $2 every Tuesday. But that's tomorrow. Let's get into it today with my boys. I got Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger with me. Brandon, I'm going to start with you, man. You're back home. You're finally adjusting to the sleep schedule. All of us are. We're back to our time zones where we feel the best and where we cap the best. Brandon, how you doing? And you have anything up for $9 Monday?
I do have something up for $9 Monday. I've got a total in Japanese baseball. And right when I was typing here, we started the show. I'm about to put a KBO play out for $9. So I'm going to have those two plays out. Last night, heartbreaker. I had the SoftBank Hawks over 2.5. What do you know? In the first inning, they grabbed 2 runs. Oh, okay. 8 innings. All I need is 1 run. Next inning, they load the bases. No outs. Strikeout. And the runner falls down and gets thrown out. So no runs there. Hey, no problem. I got 7 innings left. Next inning, a triple, leadoff. Guy on third base with no outs. Strikeout. So I lost my bet. They went 8 innings and got 0 runs the rest of the game. I hate those beats, man. But, it happens. My theory is you're going to get lucky as much as you get unlucky. The only difference is you remember the unlucky ones. And that kind of ticked me off. So let's get that bad taste out of our mouth and get some winners here today. $9 Monday. Everything out for $9.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you lose by the hook, that thing stews like all week long. When you win by the hook, you're just like, all right, let's keep on moving. We cashed our tickets. So I feel you there, but it's a safe space at the top of the show to lament your bad beats and strut your stuff on your good ones. Trig, how are you doing, brother? And do you have anything loaded for $9 Monday?
Yeah, I do. I've got a Major League Baseball play tonight for $9. Major League Baseball has been absolutely rolling for me. I think I'm 6-1 my last 7 games, and that's been my big moneymaker this season. Which I try. Yeah, hopefully I get to the end of the year and I'm plus in both. Last year I was way up in KBO, a little bit closer to 500 in Major League Baseball. This year I am way ahead in MLB, and KBO has been good. I'm still ahead. But like the last 3 months, I broke right about dead even. I looked at my numbers in the last 3 months. KBO has been tough. I've been right around dead even. Fortunately, I had a good start, so I'm still ahead there. I'm up over 70 units in baseball combined this season. But I would say I think 50 of those are MLB. It's just been great, and I've got a 4% play up for $9. And also, I put my first college football play for week 1 up. And until midnight, you can grab that for $9 until it goes to regular price, for the rest of the week. So both of those on my page. A lot of rain in KBO tomorrow, so I'm basically going to give any opinions I have out here for free. And if I do upgrade something to a client play, I'll tweet it out for free as well. So all my KBO is going to be free on the show today.
Look at that, all free here, saving you money on $9 Monday so you can go over and grab their plays. And if you missed the show on Thursday, Trig and Brandon both kind of said, maybe the lines have gone a little bit stagnant here in KBO because it's kind of been one of those only dances in town outside of MLB and WNBA. Now that football's coming back, those lines might get a little bit softer. So while football is rolling on, you don't want to miss Asian baseball today as these lines maybe get in the back of the odds makers' minds. Guys, let's get into the standings update and get into some of these takeaways we have for the folks. My SSG Landers, they're still rolling at the top. 7 games up on LG. And you got KT and Kiwoom, just 1 win separating the two. As a matter of fact, Kiwoom has more wins, but more losses in the other column, putting them at the 4 spot. And then I think the real interesting thing to talk about, and I'm going to throw it your way, Trig, is the fact that NC, sure, they sit in 7th place, but for the better part of the season, the Dinos were the bottom feeder. And you said about halfway through us doing shows here, hey, this might be a team that you can get some value on moving forward, is the NC Dinos. So now we're looking at this team just 8 games behind Kia. That would make them about 8 games in the win column behind getting that 5th and final playoff spot. So I don't know, man. Is it crazy to be talking playoffs for the NC Dinos? I know they've been moneymakers for us, but playoffs? What do you think, Trig?
Well, I'll just start by saying, really odd week for them last week. Like, they really blew like a golden opportunity. They had Lotte, Kiwoom at home and lost all 4 of those games. But they probably saved their season over the weekend by sweeping the KT Wiz, to really kind of keep them. I believe they're 5.5 back. Now, the win and loss column for these teams is going to be very different because certain teams are going to end up with more games to make up with than others. So I think they're roughly 5.5 back when it comes to how they're going to track that. I think right now. I think they are better than Kia, Lotte, and Doosan. Whether they are able to make up 5.5 games and get in the playoffs, we'll see. But I do think that they are the 5th best team in the league right now. Remember, this team, the first month and a half of the season, they had wholesale injuries. They spent like the first 2 weeks of the year without like 5 starters because they had suspensions from last year. They had guys out with COVID. So NC has probably had they haven't really had their full roster until just now because they had to get rid of one of their import starters, Parsons, and now they have Matt Dermody, who finally made his debut last week. Changmo Koo was out, now he's back. So what I found was interesting with the NC Dinos is through all of that, since the All-Star break, they have the top starting pitching ERA in the league. And some of those good pitchers, like the good domestic quote-unquote starters that they've been using, are now going to move back to their bullpen and bolster their bullpen a little bit. So I look at NC, and I look at the other teams that they're grouped with, the Kias, Lotte, Doosan. I think at this point, Hanwha and Samsung have pretty much, they have no chance. I think NC is the best of those teams, but they're in 7th place, and there are a handful of games under 500. So I would say going forward, the NC Dinos on a daily basis against what the odds makers are making them because of their record are probably a good bet. And whether they'll get to the playoffs or not, I mean, listen, Kia is starting to get healthy in the bullpen, and they're a pretty good team. So whether NC can make up 5.5 games and get to the playoffs is not really my concern, guys, because I bet we're betting day to day. We don't really care if they make the playoffs or not. But the point is, they're good. They're probably the 5th best team in the league right now, based on the health of their roster. And I think they're still going to get priced as if they're the 7th or 8th best team. So that's something to keep an eye on. And I'm guessing that NC is probably a pretty good play on for the rest of the season because of it.
And Adam never afraid of shying away from any of those hot takes here. NC Dinos potentially a valuable team moving forward and maybe, just maybe, sneaking up the standings. Brandon, I want to throw it your way. We got another show, which means another chart from our guy Tokyo Brandon. And today you wanted to take a look at home versus away, how the hits are rolling, how these teams are doing. So, Brandon, floor is yours, my brother. I think you're muted there, brother.
Adam just gave me another chance to sing an Alan Parsons Project song, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold back.
Well
but
done.
it is raining men. Hallelujah. Asia is raining man all over the place. So
Jeez.
bet only dome games for tonight, I would recommend. But so every once in a while, I put my chart up for home and away. And last time I put it up, there were only two quote normal teams out there, meaning they play better at home than they do on the road. And let me just tell you how I get these numbers. Basically, I take their home record and I compare that to their overall record. And then I take their away record and compare that to their overall record. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. So I want to see how do they perform at home compared to their overall record? How do they perform on the road compared to their overall record? So that's how I get these numbers. So now we're starting to see, if you look at home advantage there, the left column, we're starting to see, so anything black means it's normal, right? They win more at home. So we've got 4 teams now. So I imagine this will be maybe 5 teams by the end of the season. But SSG, obviously right there, 7%, and Hanwha. Those are the 2 best home teams. I don't know. Hanwha's 8%. It doesn't mean that they're a really good home team. It just means that they're much better at home than they are on the road. But if you look at their road record, I think it's like, I forgot the exact number, but it's like 13-40 or something on the road. They're just awful on the road. So I don't know if they're a great home team as much as they are a terrible away team. But SSG definitely has a home advantage. KT has slid into the black on the home games there. And so NC also is a decent home team. And then everyone else has a negative rating for their home games. So away over there, we can see the best away teams are Lotte. They win. I mean, it doesn't mean they win 9% better. It just means they have a 9% better record on the road than their overall record. That's what this means. So yeah, Lotte is a good road performing team, and LG is a pretty good road performing team, as well as Doosan. So I'll update this chart again every once in a while. Like Joe Ranieri likes to say, this season will go on and on and on forever. So no, just kidding. We only have about a month and a half left of the season, but I will update this every 2 weeks or so and throw it out. But it is good to know, overall in the KBO, there's no real home advantage. So if you're basing a cap on home advantages, it's not a good idea unless it's SSG. So that's kind of what we can take from this. But yeah, screenshot that and take it home. I'll update it in a couple weeks.
Well, and Brandon, before we get into our featured game here, I'm just curious, when you look at KT, the only team that's black, which is positive advantage, both home and away, like what can really be gleaned by that? Does that just mean that really, whether they're on the road, whether they're away, they're kind of the same team? Or, because it's really not that much of a difference, a 0.88 plus a 1.1. So what could kind of be drawn from that before we get into our next game here?
It basically means their home record is the same as their overall record. And their away record is a little bit better than their overall record. That's all it means. They were negative at home before, but it was only like a 1%. And you can see there's another team there that's like a 2% or something. So that will probably slide into the positive too. But like I said, the way I get this is I just compare the home record versus their overall record. How much better is it? So I wouldn't take too much from it, except the fact that when I'm capping, SSG obviously performs better at home, so I do take that into account. And the fact that Hanwha never wins on the road, I take that into factor, and also the fact that there's really no home advantage besides those 2 teams.
Yeah, well, it's rare that Han was really winning anywhere consistently, home or away. Well, they were 4-6 in their last 10, so 2 straight losses for them. Guys, let's get into our featured game for today. We picked this one because damn well could be the only game that ends up going tomorrow morning. We got Kiwoom, and they're taking on Lotte. Lotte, the -160 favorite. Kiwoom looking to snap a 2-game skid. They're your money line underdog in a total of 8. So, Brandon, I'm going to throw it back your way. How are you breaking down what could potentially be the lone game that gets played with rain running through Seal tomorrow morning? How are you handicapping this one?
So, fortunately, this one is in a dome. So this will be played. And look, Kiwoom is obviously a better team than Lotte. I think we all know that. But this is very pitcher oriented, and Kiwoom is throwing out Yoon Jung Hyun, and Yoon Jung Hyun is not a very good pitcher. He's got according to my rankings, he's got a close to a 4 FIP. He's got a 1.45 WHIP, and his career WHIP is 2.06. So he's not a good pitcher. And if you look at his recent starts, he hasn't played Lotte this year, but in his last 3 starts, he's given up 10 runs, and he can't throw strikes. In his last 3 starts, he's got 1 strikeout and 4 walks in 3 starts. And that's, I'm sorry. Okay, well, 2 of those were relief appearances. But when he did start, he only went 3 innings. So, I mean, this guy, out of 5 of his appearances, 2 of them are 0 because he couldn't even get 1 out, and he got tagged. So he's not a good pitcher. He's not a good pitcher at all. And he's going up against Charlie Barnes. Now, Charlie Barnes is a little bit inconsistent. Not a guy I really want to tie my wagon to, but against Kiwoom, he's gone 3 times. So that's enough of a sample size to kind of read into what's going on here. The first time he faced him, he gave up 3. The second time he faced him, he gave up 2. The third time he faced him, he gave up 0. So, I mean, every time he faces him, he gets better. You can't get better than 0. But I don't think he's going to get blown up by this Kiwoom team. And overall, his numbers are not bad at all. Charlie Barnes has a 1.10 WHIP. That's elite. That's an elite WHIP. But he is kind of inconsistent because he's given up 3, he's given up 4, he's given up, he gets blown up from time to time. I don't think Kiwoom's the team to blow him up, though. Kiwoom has allowed 4 runs in the last week, whereas Lotte Kiwoom is scoring 4.4 runs per game this week. Lotte is scoring even more. They're scoring 5.14 per game. So I like Lotte in the first 5. It's actually a client play that I put out, and I'm selling it. But for those of you who are gracious enough to watch the show, and I met some of you at the meet and greet, that's a free play that I'm selling on Wager Talk right now. So I like Lotte in the first 5. I don't care what the number is.
It's not just the free play section at the end of the show. You might get some actionable client plays once sprinkled in, and you're going to have to rewind to hear it. The way that Brandon is looking on that game, a first 5 client play. How are you breaking this one down, Trig? You see it kind of similar, that maybe some early advantage going the way of the home side. How are you breaking this one down?
I mean, I think the advantage is going the way of Lotte the entire game. I would agree with Brandon. I think Lotte first 5 is fine, and the full game at minus 160 is fine as well. Really, the price is just a tad high for me to want to do anything sort of significant with it. But Kiwoom can't hit left-handed pitching. Like they're horrible against left-handed pitching. And Charlie Barnes is one of the best left-handed pitchers in the league. And now he's kind of like figuring it back out. Like he had such an unreal start to the season that he got way overvalued for a while. Got knocked around once the league figured him out, but he's a pro, and he's now made the adjustment, and he's looked really good. He got knocked around once, but if you look at his last couple starts, there's been some dominant performances in there. He completely shut NC down earlier this last week, 8 innings, 4 hits, 8 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts. And if you go back a couple starts, he faced Kiwoom, 7.1 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, completely dominant. And I would normally look for Kiwoom to make an adjustment, but they just don't hit left-handed pitching. So I got to agree with Brandon. Kiwoom's bullpen has been a disaster, and they're essentially going with a bullpen game here. So even though I still think Lotte overall is a little overvalued as a team. Like this team still has issues in my opinion, which is why I'm not gonna send it in on them minus 160 here. But I certainly agree with Brandon, and that's how I would play this game as well. I would just the only bet you should be making in this game, in my opinion, is Lotte, whether it be first 5, full game. That would be the side here. I want no part of this Kiwoom team against the left-handed pitcher.
Well, guys, I mean, I hear you talking about this is a bullpen game for a bad bullpen. Like, is there any value in looking towards a Lotte team total, or the bats, how they've been doing, kind of keeping you off of that? You rather just play it on the side and, try and avoid maybe some wonky things going your way. Trig, you can respond first.
Yeah, my concern with the team total is this. Like, first of all, when it is a bullpen game, and I ran into this and got bit by this trying to go against Kiwoom last week, depending on who the mix of pitchers is, which is going to kind of depend on how the game is going, it can be tough. Teams have a tough time preparing for bullpen games occasionally. Like,
fair,
you'll get it now. So that's where the team total gets tough. And the only reason I say this could be a tough spot is when teams have their guy on the mound, like a Charlie Barnes, it almost becomes like some of these top guys don't get a ton of run production. I don't know what. I'm curious if Brandon has, like, I don't know if it's like mental where they go in with the mindset that they don't need to score that many runs to win that particular game. But like, you see it a lot, and you see it. The great example is like Jacob deGrom all those years, where he would just never get run production. And I know like Rucinski tends to not get any run production. Like some of these guys, and it tends to be the top guys, they just don't get, teams just don't score for them. So that would put me off a team total. I'd rather roll the dice with Charlie Barnes, who I think is one of the elite pitchers in the league. And I don't think Kiwoom can hit lefties. So, this might only take a run or two from Lotte to win this game. So I prefer that route instead of trying to mess with the total.
So, Brandon, 4.5 would be the team total for Lotte. You staying away from that as well? Just lean on the side and then keep on moving.
Yeah, I would, for two reasons. First of all, my numbers have Lotte scoring 4.38 here. So 5, I don't think think they'll get there. Adam mentioned Kiwoom's bad bullpen, but actually at the beginning of the season, Kiwoom had the number 2 ranked bullpen. So it's just an unknown, and I'd rather bet what I know rather than what I don't know. And another factor is these players are playing to win the game. They're not playing to score 5 runs. So when I'm in doubt, I always like to bet what the players are playing for, which is the money line. It's always better because, if you ever want to count motivation or something into that, they're not motivated to score 5 runs, but they are motivated to win. So I'll go with the win instead.
See, that's why I just ask the questions and let you guys break down the games. I think a great answer on, maybe some way that other people might think when they hear you talking how to attack the game. So if you want the in-depth thoughts from the guys, of course, you can always head on over to their page and ride with them as clients. Always full write-ups on how they think these games are going to break out. WT.buzz/AT and WT.buzz/TB. So, Adam, we got your thoughts on tomorrow's game, and in case people haven't really been paying attention, it's kind of 2-game set, 2-game set, 2-game set. So how do you see it moving forward for Kiwoom the rest of the week? Obviously in their next game, facing off against Lotte, but how it shakes out the rest of the week as well.
Yeah, so I've kind of turned, as long as we're going to do 2, 2, and 2, it becomes a little more difficult to kind of do a series preview. So I've kind of turned this section into just like a team look ahead. And with Kiwoom, for me, it's pretty simple. If they're going to face a left-handed pitcher, I'm going to try to go against them. And I'm going to try to go against Kiwoom in general because I really feel like this team maxed out in the first half of the season with just like, the pitching they got from top to bottom. Now, listen, they've got some guys like Woojin An is an absolute stud. He's going to probably be a major leaguer at some point. But I'm talking top to bottom, 1 to 5 in the rotation, front end of the bullpen to back end. In the first half, everyone, came up aces basically. Like you could do no wrong. They had no injuries. The bullpen got out of every jam. When they needed a timely hit, they got it. When they needed a big defensive play, they got it. And now it's just, I don't know if it has anything to do with the break or just the fact that like it was going to happen sooner or later. It was unsustainable. But since August 1st, they're the worst team in KBO. They're 7-15. That's the worst win percentage in KBO since August 1st. Some of the guys that had been pitching lights out Han comes to mind, and there's one other got sent down to the minors. Tyler Epler, who's the other import guy, has really not been great. They've been trying stuff with him left and right. They tried to send him to the bullpen. That didn't really. He was fine in the bullpen. They brought him back. Hasn't been great. Like in terms of numbers that you would expect out of an import starter, he just hasn't been great. And Eric Jokic, who's been an absolute stud for them, is finally starting to maybe show his age a little bit, starting to regress just a tad. So, and then you look at this lineup. Brandon talked about it at the beginning of the season. We both kind of joked, like, this is a very average team. They're a mediocre team, and somehow they managed to be basically be neck and neck with SSG for the first half of the season. I don't think Kiwoom's very good. I don't think they'll play their way out of a playoff spot because they had such a good first half. But this is not a good baseball team. And now the cracks are starting to show, right? Like the bullpen's not as good. They're not getting 6-7 innings from every single starter. And some of the timely hitting has dried up. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that they're 7-15 in August. And I'll say it again. They can't hit left-handed pitching. And you might have Sean Moramondo in that SSG series I think he's probably going to throw against Kiwoom on Saturday. And he's a guy that's starting to look really good. So the way I would look at this is that Kiwoom is a play against for me. And if they're going up against a left-handed pitcher, I'd have to look the other way. And if you can get a good number, like it's a lesser lefty, or even if they come into that series with SSG on a little bit of a high, and now they're going to go up against Moramondo, who's been kind of undervalued for an import pitcher. I would play against Kiwoom every time that there's a good spot to do so. So that's sort of my look ahead. They're just a fade for me. And then, if you can find the right spot, that's got to be and the right price, of course. Like tomorrow's a good spot. -160 is not the best price, but it's still probably the right spot to play against Kiwoom. I think you got to keep betting against this team.
Find the spots to fade Kiwoom, says our guy, Adam Trigger. Brandon, swing it your way. Talk a little Japanese baseball, a little NPB here. You want to do a more traditional series breakdown as the Chunichi Dragons are taking on the Yokohama DeNA BayStars. Floor is yours, Brandon.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen. Quick anecdote. I was driving my 22-year-old son, in the car yesterday. We were listening to Stairway to Heaven. He's like, I don't like this song. I almost stopped the car and kicked him out the door. I don't know you. I'm not related to you. Who is this child? That was a very bad day yesterday. Anyways, so today I want to focus on, and I agree with Adam, I don't know what's going on with Kiwoom, because at the beginning of the season, they had great pitching and a great bullpen, and they've just fallen off a cliff. So I agree with everything he just said. Something's going on in Kiwoomville, and they need some help. They're not making the playoffs. So I want to focus on Japanese baseball, the Chunichi Dragons, the DeNA BayStars, and I just want to make this short and simple. Tonight's game might get rained out. It might get rained out. But in this series, so like Adam said, instead of, the KBO is doing 2-2-2. I don't know why. I don't think they did that last year. I don't think they did that.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know
they've been doing that for a while. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't notice.
Just at the end of the season. I don't know why either. End of the season they do it.
Okay.
Weird.
Maybe they get tired. I don't know. Anyways, Japanese don't do that. So the series previews, I've been doing Japanese ones because they keep it at 3s and 3s. But this is a great series to focus on because the DeNA BayStars are not a very good team, but suddenly they find themselves in the playoff hunt and they're second place in their division. Now, they do have a great lineup. They've got one of the best hitters in Japanese baseball. His name is Maki. And they also have a great leadoff hitter named Yamazaki. They've got Kuwahara. They've got Sano. They've got a guy named Soto. They have a lot of power, and they have a lot of guys who can get on base. So the hitting's never been a problem for DeNA. I call them DeNA. It's the Yokohama DeNA BayStars. So hitting's never been a problem for DeNA. The pitching has been the problem. But this year, suddenly, their pitching is shaping up. They used to have the worst bullpen in the league. Suddenly, their bullpen is doing well. They're kind of the opposite of Kiwoom. They were toiling in mediocrity for a couple of years with bad pitching, and now suddenly they're good. So they're in second place, and these guys had no idea that they would be in a playoff run. Now they're thrown into this situation where they're, nobody's going to catch Yakult. I think they're 13 games behind Yakult. But in Japanese baseball, the top 3 teams make the playoffs in each division. So they're in second place in their division, and they're fighting hard. These guys are motivated as heck to win. And they're all banding together, and they're playing really well. Chunichi, on the other hand, I've said this in previous shows, they're kind of like the Miami Marlins of MLB. They have really good pitching, and they have a really good bullpen, but they can't hit. They're averaging 2.6 runs a game all season, and in the last week, they're averaging 1.9. This team cannot hit. They're flaccid. They're bad. But their pitching is good. So how do you approach this series? You like that word, flaccid. So how do you approach this series? I like DeNA. So my advice to you would be to, in the next 3 games, if you see a line that you can digest, I wouldn't do, minus 220 or something like that. But if you see a line like minus 150, minus 130, it's definitely worth a play on DeNA BayStars. In this particular series, normally I don't do this in Japanese baseball, but I might even be inclined to drop a minus 1.5 because these teams, when they get together, they average 7 runs a game, and most of that is due in part to DeNA. DeNA's good lineup. So in this series, if you see a line you can digest, take the DeNA BayStars. If the line is like minus 180 or something, I would even drop a minus 1.5 because DeNA should be able to sweep this series. They have better pitching, better hitting, and right now they have a better bullpen.
So now you know how Tokyo Brandon is going to be betting the Chunichi Dragons and Yokohama BayStars series coming up here. Brandon, what do you got for him? It's best bet time, but first, remind them what you have up for $9 Monday, what they can get right this moment. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you got a dog you might think be barking tonight here in NPB action. So what do you got, Brandon?
Absolutely. I get accused of playing favorites all the time, but actually that's not true. As you saw in the meet and greet, we dropped a plus 135 dog, which cashed, thankfully, because everyone who bet it was standing around me. So that was good. And it's always nice when you win your bet, when there's a circle of guys who bet your play and they're standing in a circle around. So it's always good to win those. But yeah. I've got a total tonight in Japanese baseball, and I did bet the Lotte first 5 also, which I gave out for free. I didn't actually plan on giving that out for free, but hey, we should reward our listeners because you guys are loyal, and we appreciate it. And tonight in Japanese, I have another dog. The Oryx Buffaloes are taking on the Rakuten Eagles. Yamaoka is a pitcher for the Oryx Buffaloes, and the guy is stellar. He has a 1.83 ERA on the season. Only in Japanese baseball can you have a 1.83 ERA and be 6-6. But that's where he's at. And he's facing a guy named Norimoto. Now, Norimoto has been a stud pitcher for 3 years in Japanese baseball. Absolute stud, like sub-1 whip. 12-6 every season, but this year he's kind of aging a little. And he's having a drop off. So his ERA right now is 3.78, and in Japanese baseball, 3.78 is not good. And his last game against Oryx, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. So he's having a problem. And in his last 4 starts, he's given up 11 runs, which in Japanese baseball is way too many runs to be given up in 4 starts. Yamaoka, on the other hand, he's given up 0, 3, 1, 1 in his last 4 starts. He has dominated against Rakuten in the past, although he hasn't faced him this season. I don't know why Oryx is the dog in this case, because the lineups I see as fairly negligible. They both have some decent power, nothing special, pretty mediocre. These are both basically Kiwoom lineups, and I like the starting pitcher for Oryx. So I'm going with Oryx as the dog here. I think it was plus 110, maybe plus 105. I'm not sure, but take the dog here. I think the wrong team is favored. That's a client play as well.
When Tokyo Brandon takes a dog, the great folks at the Westgate Resort and Casino, they listened because that was probably the biggest liability they ever had on an MPB or KBO side was when everybody was walking up to the counter on the Hanshin Tigers. So going on the dog, the Oryx Buffaloes money line is the look for Tokyo Brandon. Adam, what do you have up again for $9 Monday, and what are you rocking with for the free play for the folks here today on Asian Baseball Today?
Yeah, so $9 Monday, Major League Baseball play that goes tonight. 6-1 run in Major League Baseball and having a great season there. College football, I've released my first move for week 1. Goes on Saturday afternoon. That'll be up all week, but you can get it for $9 today. So that'll be up until midnight for $9. Then it'll go back to full price, $25, which is $25. So $9 is a good deal there. Guys, I'm looking at my phone right now. It is raining in Seoul. And there is 100% chance of rain continuing until 9 p.m. their time. So I'm going to throw, the graphics department not going to be happy with me here, but I was going to do NC Dinos as my best bet for the show, but I don't think there's any chance of this game being played. And if by the grace of God it does get played, you're going to have, it's good. The conditions are not such that I would want to even be involved with a bet in that game. So NC Dinos is where I was looking, but the weather looks so bad that I'll be shocked if the field is even remotely playable. So I'm going to piggyback Tokyo Brandon's client play, which we found out earlier, and I'll give you Lotte minus 160 for the full game as my best bet for the show. That way, at least I know you're getting a game that's going to get played, because that NCLG game does not look like it's going to get played. And it'll just go back to what I said earlier. Kiwoom, they're a fade for me. In general, they're really a fade when they face a left-handed pitcher. And here they go against Charlie Barnes, who's one of the best left-handed pitchers in the league, and just completely shut them down last time he faced them. 7.1 inning. He pitched into the 8th inning, gave up 2 hits, and shut them out. So Kiwoom's got a bullpen game going, which is always, you never know. I got burnt fading them on a bullpen day last week, but the bullpen has not been great. So, I don't know that they can do it again here and piece together 9 innings with that bullpen, which has really struggled since the All-Star break. Kiwoom 7-15 in the month of August. It is the worst record in the KBO in the month of August. So even though this line's a little bit pricey and a little bit more expensive than I would have liked for a bet, it's still, the best thing that's probably going to get played tomorrow, as there looks to be a lot of rain in the other 4 games, and specifically the one I wanted to target as my best bet. So Lotte minus 160. Now that I know Tokyo Brandon's on it for a client play, I'll jump on for my best bet. I do think they get it done in this game.
Yeah, so even throwing a little curveball at the graphics department, you see that they're ready there. If they can withstand Tokyo Brandon yelling at them to put up graphics already, they can withstand anything. So, guys, always a fun time here on
Korean. I didn't know Adam gets Korean weather alerts to his phone. That's interesting.
Well,
Adam
Brandon,
is the weatherman here.
Let me just show you. It's the weather app. Look at that. That is big time. It's raining on my phone. The rain is just coming down.
You can look out my window right now if you want.
Look at what happens here. Look at what happens. Robert, when we go too long on a show, we got Tokyo Brandon, shining his camera out windows. We got weather breakdowns. You never know how it's going to end the show here on Asian Baseball Today. You do know we're going to be back on Thursday. We'll be with you every Monday and Thursday through the rest of the regular season and playoffs as well. We'll see how that shakes out. But that's going to do it for us. If you enjoyed the show, hop in, drop a comment. If you agree, if you disagree, hit that like button. Make sure you click subscribe so you never miss a show. And the best way to say thanks, head on over to these guys' page on wagertalk.com. $9 plays loaded in all the sports that you could love. Asian baseball. We got some college football stuff up for Trig already. Had a great football season last year, and it looks to continue this year. So for my guy, Adam Trigger, for Tokyo Brandon, for Robert behind the scenes, keeping the show moving, I'm Dan Alexander, and we'll see you Thursday on Asian Baseball Today.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.